Hello, I'm Jason Klein, the Chief Information Officer in School District 21. This video is a video version of the orientation of our new staff laptops that was presented face-to-face with all staff during the distribution of those laptops during the fall of 2014. This video is intended for three audiences. First, teachers who are on leave when we distributed the staff laptops and are now returning to receive their new staff laptop. If you are one of those teachers, you'll receive your laptop when you return from leave. You'll watch this video as well as work with one of the members of our Information Services technical team on logging into your laptop and completing some of the setup steps that we outline in this video. Second, long-term substitutes. If you're a long-term substitute in School District 21, the next time you receive a long-term subbing assignment, you will receive one of the new staff laptops, as that is the device that the regular staff member has. So we want you to have an overview of it as well, and this is a way for us to offer that flexibly to all of you, depending on when that substitute assignment begins. Finally, this video is of course available for all of our staff members. Even if you participated in the orientation face-to-face, maybe you just want to review all or part of it, and you're welcome to do so by watching this video. At this point, we're going to dive into the slides and get started. Thanks for watching. So our new staff laptop is the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga 11E. It has been a tremendous seller for Lenovo, and there's a lot of reasons that the committee of staff members selected this device. One thing to understand before we get started is the policies and procedures that were created when we first started distributing staff laptops to all certified staff members over 4 years ago remain in place at this time. There are no changes to these very middle-of-the-road policies. We've tried to balance the needs of our community with the needs of our staff members, and it's gone exceedingly well in the past 4.5 years, thanks to the hard work of all of our staff members, from technical team members to everybody using a device. Among those things is that there's no changes to self-insurance. So, for example, during this 2014-2015 school year, when the staff laptops were initially deployed, if you signed up for self-insurance under the old laptop, that just continues under the new laptop. Let's talk about the device itself. This device is considered a semi-ruggedized device. It's got a casing that's extra durable to stand up to the knocks that will come with life in a school setting. One of the things you'll notice is the rubberized edging around the monitor. That helps protect the display in the event that it bumps into something. Additionally, there are two lights on top of the display. One, the little white bar right in the middle, that turns green when the computer is on and connected to a network. Typically, that will be green because most of the time that you are using your computer, you will be connected to a network. The other light is a little bit more useful. It's the red dot over the I in the word ThinkPad. That dot shows that the computer is on and or charging. It is very similar to the white light that was on the front of the MacBook. Unlike that light, it's a little bit more subdued in a dark setting, but it's still very noticeable. When you power on your ThinkPad in a little bit, you will notice that the red light will go on. We're now going to walk through the ports on both the left side and the right side, starting with the left side. All the way at the back on the left side is the power port. The Lenovo uses a new Lenovo standard charger. Previously, for many years, Lenovo used a circular charger with a little yellow tip. Now they've changed it to a rectangular charger with a yellow tip as their laptops have gotten thinner and the circle was too wide for the width of, or the height, of those laptops. The next port is the Ethernet port. While typically our teachers will use their laptops on Wi-Fi, there are two troubleshooting steps that we want all teachers to be able to complete as knowledge workers in this time and day and age. The first is, if your laptop isn't working right, go ahead and restart it. Second, if you're at school and you can't log in or it won't connect to the network or you see a weird date and time, go ahead and go into one of the remaining lab computers, unplug that from the Ethernet, and plug it into the Ethernet port here on the left side of your computer. Then restart your computer. Try and log in again. If it's successful, let it sit for about 1 minute and then go ahead and unplug it. Please remember to plug that desktop computer in the lab space back into the Ethernet cord so that no other staff member or student is confused about why it's not connecting to the network. The next port we have is one of 2 USB ports on this device. Unlike your MacBook previously, in which they were next to each other, making it hard to plug in 2 items, there's one on each side on your Lenovo ThinkPad 11e. The next port is your standard 3.5mm audio jack. That's the port that you plug in headphones or speakers. And then moving forward near the front, but still on the left side, is the SD card reader. This is a fantastically useful tool for us in schools as we're using cameras that we've checked out from our library media centers. Now, no cables are needed. Once you're done taking pictures on that field trip, of student performances, of a science experiment, all you need to do is pop the SD card out of the camera, stick it in this slot, and drag those pictures, to your Google Drive. Remember, your Google Drive has unlimited space in Google Apps for Education, so there's no reason not to put your pictures safely in your Google Drive. Then, once you've done that, you can take the SD card as well as the camera back to the LMC, where the SD card will be wiped and ready to be used for the next classroom or teacher. On the right side, starting in the middle, you have the second USB port. And then a little bit further to the back, you have a port that looks like a USB port. But instead of it being rectangular shaped, it's more of a trapezoid. That is your full-size HDMI port. HDMI is the standard video and audio connection that's found on things like the flat screen TV you might have at home. Your HDMI port here connects to that flat screen TV or projectors that use an HDMI port with no problem at all. Moving forward, we have a few buttons on the right side, the power button and the volume rocker. One of the things we want to share is that unfortunately, because our projectors are connected via VGA, we still need to use adapters. But we've made a change with the adapters at this point. Since the Yoga 11Es have a standard HDMI port, we are not assigning adapters to individual staff members. Rather, adapters are now assigned to the projectors. So they are part of the projector kit that the LMC team assigns at the beginning and end of each school year to the classroom or the conference room. Staff members need to leave those adapters with that projector. And this is great because it means wherever there's a projector, all you need to do is hook up your laptop. One of the big reasons that the committee selected this device from among the devices they looked at was because of the touchscreen. The touchscreen has a lot of options that allow it to work very functionally for us in a classroom setting as well as on our own individual use. In addition to the touchscreen, or along with it, there are actually 4 modes in which this laptop can be used. You can ask the technical team member to show you those modes, or your information literacy coach, or a colleague at school. Those 4 modes are standard laptop mode, tent mode, which is the mode we would recommend using least often as it's the least stable, theater mode, which puts the keyboard face down on the desk and has the screen sticking up so you're really just looking at a display. A great mode for showing a video to a small group of students at a station. And then, of course, tablet mode. And tablet mode, along with the touchscreen, offers a ton of potential for student assessment in an observational setting in the classroom. Now, by touching your touchscreen, it will get dirty. And to clean it, it's really simple. You don't need to buy fancy sprays at the office supply store. Rather, you simply need to use a microfiber cloth like the kind you would get with eyeglasses, or a dry cotton t-shirt. Either way, it's best to do it when the computer's off for two reasons. As you'll be pushing harder on the screen, it's a little bit better for the screen, number one, and number two, it's easier to see the cleaning when the computer is off. Your trackpad has two red lines on it, the left line and the right line, separated by a little black space in the middle. As many of you have known, the Macs, like Windows computers, have had the ability to right-click, but you had to enable it in the trackpad settings. By default, on a Windows computer, the right-click is enabled. And the right-click is really a wonderful time saver and makes your use of the computer more efficient once you begin to use it and get used to it. The right click will allow you to pop up what's called a contextual menu, giving you a few items that the software developer thinks would be handy in that specific location. A regular click is a left click. So for purposes of setting up your computer, you'll typically want to be clicking on the left side. What you don't want to do is be clicking in the middle, because you won't know if you're going to get a right click or a left click, and that can be incredibly frustrating. Finally, the trackpad settings are completely customizable. We do have a post on the Modern Pen explaining how you can go in and customize those settings, and we'd encourage you to take a look at that. Customizing your settings. At this time, we'd like you to pause the video and grab an information services technical team member to assist you with the next steps in the process, actually setting up your computer. Welcome back. We're going to move on now to logging into your computer. So login still uses Active Directory. There are no changes. When you initially power up your computer, which we want you to do at this time, you'll see that it powers up very, very quickly. Once you get the rainbow-looking screen, you'll be fully powered up and ready to log in. There are three ways to move past that screen. You can either click the trackpad, you can press a key on the keyboard, or the one that's most fun, you can simply reach out to the touchscreen from the bottom and swipe up, lifting up the shade and showing you where you log in. Login remains the same. It's your first name dot last name and then your password. It will retain the same user over and over again. So if you have to enable your user account, you only need to do that once. At this point, we're going to ask that you pause the video, and if you need assistance from our technical team member, that's great, but go ahead and log in. Welcome back. Now that you're logged in, we're going to talk to you a little bit more about how your computer functions, and Windows in particular. First of all, on your login, you saw how quickly that took place. There was no syncing at all. Many of you we know are going to be very excited about that, as the syncing took time, and as we're impatient to get things done, particularly in the morning when we get to school, or at the end of the day when we need to leave school, that syncing could be very annoying. There's a drawback to the no syncing. That's not a drawback if you've been doing what we've talked about over the last year and a half since we started with Google Apps for Education in June of 2013. We'll talk about that in just a moment. First, though, we want to talk about Chrome. Since June of 2013, we've said that Chrome is really the center of our computer world. It's also the center of Google Apps for Education. One of the things that we've done on these computers is we've added the Chrome launcher in the lower left corner. The Chrome launcher, when you click on it, shows you all of your Chrome apps. The Chrome launcher is totally customizable. Like on Android or iOS, you can move these around. You can make folders. Those are the circles that you see here of Google Drive apps and Gmail apps, for example. And then this is set up just for you, the way you want it. We would encourage you to do this. We have a Modern Pen post along with a video showing you how to do this. So it's not something to do now, but it's something you can do later as you get to know your computer better. At this point, we do want to ask you to pause the video again and launch your Google Drive, either using the Chrome launcher or by going into Chrome and typing drive.google.com. Welcome back. With Google Drive now open in your Chrome browser, we want to talk a little bit more about a couple of Drive-related things. First of all, we said that the computer is no longer syncing to local file servers like it previously did on your staff MacBooks. So that is a real time saver for logging in and logging out at the end of the day. The thing about that is if you have items on your desktop, for example, or in the Documents folder on the computer, those items only exist in one place in the entire universe, and that's on your computer. So if something were to happen to your computer, those items would not be recoverable by anybody on our technical team. On the other hand, if you're living with everything in your Google Drive, not only are your items accessible from anywhere and is your Google Drive backed up using a variety of tools that protects you as an individual as well as the school district, but you don't have to worry to the highest degree possible with computer and technology about whether or not your items will be there. So if you haven't been fully living in the Google Drive, now is the time, because anything on your desktop or in that Documents folder is only on your laptop. And that's not safe and not what our role of using technology is at this point in 2015 in School District 21. We are already syncing your Google Drive to one place on your computer, but now we also want to sync it in Chrome, and we need your help doing that. To do that, we're going to go into your Google Drive as I show you on my screen, and you're going to click on the settings icon. Now, if you haven't already moved to the new Google Drive, and the new Google Drive is coming for everybody in January 2015, we're going to ask that the technical team member help assist you in doing that. But assuming you are in the new Google Drive, you're going to go ahead and click on Settings, and when you do, this window will pop up. Within this window, you want to check the box for offline sync, just as we have pictured here in the slide. When you turn on that box for offline sync by checking it, all of your Google Drive will now also be synced within Chrome, allowing you to access it even without an internet connection. Pause video at this time and enable offline sync. If you need assistance from the technical team member, he or she is there to help. Welcome back. We're now going to move on and talk about some of the specifics of Windows 8.1. We've set up Windows 8.1 with the desktop being the default place you go to when you log into the computer. This desktop looks very familiar to anybody that's used a Windows computer since 1995. And we've made it as easy as possible then to navigate, particularly remembering that most of the time we'll simply be using Chrome on our desktop. There are a couple of specific Windows 8.1 things, though, tips that we want everybody to know. First of all, you'll notice that in the lower left corner of the screen there's a Windows button, as well as a Windows button on your keyboard. Personally, I use the one on my keyboard, but it doesn't matter. If you go ahead and hit one of those Windows buttons at this time, you'll see that your whole screen will fill with all of the apps on your computer, including all of the Chrome apps. If you hit that Windows button again, much like the home button on a smartphone, it will take you back to the desktop. Sometimes you may end up in such a confusing place in Windows 8 that it won't take you back to the desktop by simply hitting the Windows button. In that case, there's a very simple trick. Hit the Windows button and just start typing the word desktop. Next, we want you to see what the charms are. To activate the charms, which come out from the right side of the screen, you put one finger all the way off to the right side of your screen and swipe in with that one finger. When you swipe out the charms, really the only charm that we need to use on a regular basis is the settings charm. Settings are, as has become typical in computers, represented by the gear at the bottom of the list of charms. When you click on the settings charm, and we're not going to do this right now, that's where the control panel is located. Lots of the posts on the Modern Pen begin with clicking on this control panel link here in the settings. And your control panel will look like this. Very similar to the system preferences on the Mac. The only major differences being that this is white, the Mac was gray, the pictures were bigger and the words smaller on the Mac versus on Windows, this being the opposite. And again, within each post on the Modern Pen, we'll direct you to exactly what settings in the control panel you would want to click on to make a change. Additionally, in the settings pane, this is how you would shut down your computer or restart it or put it to sleep, with the power button located near the bottom of the settings pane. At this time, we want you to pause the video, swipe out the charms, and go to the settings. The Information Services Technical Team member can provide assistance to you should you need it. Welcome back. One of the things we want to talk about now is how updates work in Windows. On your Mac, sometimes you would log in and have an extremely long login process, and you didn't know why that was taking place. Well, the reason that was taking place was because we were silently installing updates. Now, on Windows, we're preparing updates and then putting them out to your computer, and then you'll decide when to do it. So when an update is available, instead of just seeing shutdown or restart, you'll have the option to update and shut down or update and restart. Now here's the thing about updates on Windows. When you run the updates, the computer has to stay powered on. Typically it should be plugged in and open, as well as connected to the internet. And unlike our students' Chromebooks, which update in about 10 seconds, Windows updates can take anywhere from 2 to 20 minutes. So if it's the end of the school day and you see update and shutdown and you need to leave to be somewhere, pick up a family member, head to an appointment, whatever it is, that's not a good time to do the updates. Rather, at that point, you should select sleep. You should run the updates when you know you'll have that time, but we would encourage you to run those updates within 24 to 48 hours of seeing the updates. It's very important that you keep your computer up to date. It will run best and be most secure. At this time, we're going to ask you to restart your computer. While your computer is restarting, we want to remind you of a few things. Number one, for the time being, as we move through the winter of 2014-2015, if you have questions about staff laptops, there's a link on the staff page of the District 21 website. You can simply click there and enter your questions. Additionally, that area of the webpage has a link to a webpage called New Staff Laptops, which links to all kinds of additional resources. We want to go through some additional support opportunities for you right now while your computer is restarting. First of all, we have posted a variety of posts on the Modern Pen that are available for you to learn more about your new laptop. Most of the posts that we've put up on the Modern Pen are actually available from other people, both out on the internet in general, as well as on YouTube specifically. So if there's something you're looking for that you don't see on the Modern Pen, don't be shy about going out to Google or going to YouTube and being a self-directed learner like we expect our students to do to go find that information. Once you've found that information, again, falling in the don't be shy category, go ahead and share that information, both personally and face-to-face with colleagues, as well as on Google+. Help each other learn. Additionally, don't be afraid to simply post questions in places like Google+. How do I do this on my new device? If you can't find it, share that question. It's likely that someone will know the answer and post the response, not only helping you, but helping anybody else who sees it. In 2015, none of us can be experts in all aspects of our job, and it's why being learners first is really most important for us as knowledge workers, in addition to modeling those characteristics for our students. Finally, if you think something is technically not working right with your computer, please put in a help request, either online or by calling the Tech Center. We'll try and get to that as quickly as we can to resolve your issue and get you back up and running. At this point, if your computer still hasn't finished restarting, just pause the video until it's restarted and you've logged back in. Welcome back. The final steps that we have to do now are just for the staff members using the PowerTeacher gradebook. So all teachers, as well as our learning coaches in grades 1 through 8, we want to do these steps. The PowerTeacher gradebook is completely unchanged. There's simply a new way of launching the gradebook on these new devices. And this is to resolve issues that PowerSchool has had with Java, the program in which the gradebook actually runs. So, the first thing we need you to do is, in your browser, go ahead and go to PowerTeacher and log in with any account that you would use to log into PowerTeacher. So again, while you're logging in here, there's no changes to the gradebook. We're simply going to launch it differently after we go through these first steps. Once you're logged into PowerTeacher, you're going to click on the word gradebook. If you need to pause this at any time during these steps, go ahead and do that so that I don't get ahead of you. Once you've clicked on the word gradebook, you'll see there's two tabs. We're going to click the Install tab. This is the one and only time you're going to need to do this. Now remember, you'll still log into PowerTeacher on the web to do things like take attendance or look up student demographic information as you've always done. Once you've clicked on the Install tab, we want you to go down to Step 4, which says Activate Installation. We've already completed Steps 1, 2, and 3 for you on the Information Services team. After you've clicked Activate Installation, you'll see that section open up, and off to the right there will be a blue launch button. Go ahead and click on that. When you've clicked on the launch button, a download will appear in the Downloads tray at the bottom of Chrome. This file is called launchgradebook.ptg. You can either double-click on that file or click on the little arrow to the right of the file and select Open. The file will open. At this point, the gradebook will open. It might be slow. Be patient. It's working. You'll notice the little Java cup at the bottom or the PowerTeacher gradebook icon in the middle of the page. Once the gradebook has opened like normal, you can go ahead and click the little red X in the upper right corner to close the gradebook. That will actually quit the gradebook. Now, in the future, you do not need to log into the web browser to launch your gradebook. You'll notice there's an icon on your desktop for PowerTeacher Gradebook. You'll simply click on that, select your school, and then enter the username and password of the teacher account that you want to use to log in. Remember, there are no changes to working in the actual gradebook itself, and like it's always been, you can only be logged in with one account at a time in the gradebook. At this point, even though you've only used one account to set up your gradebook initially, you can now use any account within the gradebook on your computer. Remember, if you have any questions, please go ahead and enter them on the district website, as well as ask colleagues, your information literacy coach, and if you think you're having problems, contact the Tech Center. Welcome to your new staff laptop. Thank you.